I'm Allison, 32. Standing in the ruins of what was supposed to be my sister Lily's dream wedding, I never thought I'd be the one watching it all crumble. The once elegant Hawthorne Manor, now filled with chaos and shock, was the very venue Lily stole from me. The FBI agents were leading away her fiancé, Victor, in handcuffs, and the look of horror on Lily's face was almost as satisfying as it was heartbreaking. My family has always been well off, living in a large Victorian house in the suburbs of Seattle. My father, Henry, is a successful real estate developer, always busy with his projects and often absent from home. My mother, Isabella, is a socialite who spends most of her time at charity events. Lily, who is 3 years older than me, has always been the center of my parents' world. Growing up, Lily had a knack for taking what was mine. When I was 10 and got a beautiful new doll, Lily took it without asking and broke its arm. When I complained, my mother simply said, "Lily is just going through a phase, Allison. You should be more understanding." As I got older, the pattern continued. When I made the honor roll in high school, Lily suddenly became interested in studying harder, and my parents hired private tutors for her to outperform me. After college, I pursued a career in finance, working at a well-known firm in Seattle. I met my boyfriend, Ethan, during my second year at work. He was smart, kind, and he saw right through Lily's false charm. "Your sister seems to be very competitive with you," he once said after Lily showed up unannounced at a restaurant where we were having a date. When Ethan and I decided to get married, we started looking for the perfect wedding venue. After visiting many places, we found Hawthorne Manor. It was a historic mansion with beautiful gardens and a grand ballroom. The venue coordinator, Grace, told us that there was only one available date in September, and we needed to act fast. The non-refundable deposit was $30,000, but after discussing it with Ethan, I withdrew the money from my savings, money I had been saving since my first part-time job at 16. I was so excited to share the news with my family. Everyone seemed happy for us, especially Lily. She even asked to see pictures of the venue and said, "September at Hawthorne will be amazing for you. I'm thinking about a spring wedding myself." I believed her, not realizing it was all part of her plan. 2 months later, I received a text from Grace saying that the date had been changed to June 15th and the reservation was now in Lily and Victor's names. I was in shock. I immediately called Grace, and she explained that Lily had the authorization code and a signed email from me. I was devastated. When I confronted Lily at a family dinner, she just waved it off and said, "I did you a favor. June is a better month for a wedding anyway." My parents, as always, sided with her and suggested they could help with the money if that was the problem. Despite the pain, Ethan and I decided to attend Lily and Victor's engagement party. It was held at their newly bought penthouse in downtown Seattle. As I was on the balcony, I overheard Victor and Lily talking in the study. Victor was saying, "Your father's connections are perfect. Once he invests, his business partners will follow." Lily replied, "I told him we're offering 25% returns minimum." Victor laughed and said, "No one questions those kinds of returns when they think it's an insider deal." I knew something was off. As a finance professional, I knew that 25% guaranteed returns were almost impossible and likely a sign of fraud. I started researching Victor and his investment company, Sterling Capital Group. What I found was disturbing. There were no records of his supposed Ivy League education, and his company had only been registered a year ago with very little public information. Ethan urged me to report my suspicions to the authorities. I was torn. I didn't want to implicate Lily, but I also didn't want my parents and their friends to lose their money. After a few days of thinking, I submitted an anonymous tip to the SEC. 3 days later, I got a call from an FBI agent, Agent Diaz. He told me they had been investigating Victor for months, and my information was crucial. He asked me to keep it a secret and said they were moving as quickly as possible. In the following weeks, I pretended to be a supportive sister. I went to Lily's cake tastings and endured her constant demands. But behind the scenes, I continued to gather evidence. I found out that Victor had run similar investment schemes in other states under different names. As Lily's wedding day approached, I was filled with mixed emotions. I knew that the FBI might make an arrest during the wedding, but I also couldn't bring myself to warn her after everything she had done. On the morning of the wedding, I arrived at Hawthorne Manor as the maid of honor. Lily was in the bridal suite, bossing everyone around as usual. As I was checking on the flower delivery, I received a text saying the agents were in position and would make their move during the ceremony. As the ceremony began, Lily looked beautiful in her wedding dress, but I knew what was about to happen. When the officiant said, "If anyone knows of any reason why these two should not be joined in matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace," Agent Diaz stepped forward and announced Victor's arrest for securities fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering. The guests gasped in shock. Victor pointed at me and shouted, "She did this. She's been trying to ruin our wedding." Lily turned to me, her face filled with anger and betrayal. "What have you done, Allison?" she hissed. I looked at her steadily and said, "Just like you knew you were stealing my venue and my deposit, I knew what Victor was doing. I had to do something to protect our family." My parents were furious with me. They couldn't believe I would do this on Lily's wedding day. But I knew I had made the right choice. In the days that followed, the FBI's investigation continued. They found emails between Lily and Victor that showed she was aware of the fraudulent scheme. 2 weeks later, Agent Diaz called to tell me that Lily would be charged as a co-conspirator. It was a hard pill to swallow, but I knew she had to face the consequences of her actions. 6 months after the wedding debacle, my life took a turn for the better. I received a check for $30,000 from the Department of Justice, the exact amount of my stolen deposit. Ethan and I decided to use the money for a small, intimate beach wedding in Hawaii. My parents finally started to see the truth about Lily's actions. They began to take responsibility for always favoring her over me. My mother even called me to apologize, saying, "We were wrong, Allison. We should have treated you both equally." I also received a letter from Lily in prison. She wrote about how she realized her mistakes and how she always felt the need to compete with me. I didn't respond right away. I needed time to think about our relationship. In the end, I learned that sometimes justice comes in unexpected ways. I lost a wedding venue, but I gained clarity and a stronger sense of self. And although I lost a sister in some ways, I hope that someday we can have a more honest relationship.